Hello, thank you for joining RasPipKr tutorials. I'm Martin Parker, and in this video I'm going to be putting some actions into these buttons. Now, because I'm going to be I set these in the previous video just to test them as their default state. The zones will all be I'm going to set them into their positions, but when you click on the button, I want it to change to the other options. So we've got off, auto, and then on. So what I've done is I've created a my house settings .py file, and in here we have our zones. And what I've done is I've basically done zone 1 buttons list for all the zones, and basically I've got the off state. If you look at the default options, I've got the off state, so the picture of that button in the off layout, zone 1 on, auto state, and then the on state. So it will, the whole idea of this is so that is my default setting for my zone 1. So I'm going to have all of my zones in the auto position when the script starts. And then down here I've done the options, so I've got the external voice buttons list, and that'll be on as a default, and same for the doors buttons, so the doors will announce via my Google Minis. The modes button, I've actually got it descripted as barbecue time, but I may change that to have different buttons so that you click the button, and that's why I've listed it as modes button list, and I'm setting it as the in the off state, because not all time is barbecue time, I'm afraid. And then we've got decking button, which is similar to that. So although I did create the off, the auto, and the on position for these 4 buttons here, I'm not necessarily using them, but I've got them made just in case, so I could always just put the auto position into any of these. Okay, so after explaining what I've done off of screen capturing, let's put it into the main script. So I'm just going to cancel that for now and get rid of that because we don't need that as well. Let's get rid of that. Right. Normally I don't like using the import star method, but rather than listing out each of the functions, and it is my own Python file of my house settings, so I know there's not something in there that maybe not necessarily it's not going to be anything dodgy. I'm not saying that some people do, but you know what's actually getting brought into the script basically. So I'm going to put from my _house _settings import star, rather than writing all of them variables into the import, which is how I'd normally do it, or as these. Right, so I've got them there. I'm just going to go down to the security menu. So first things first, I want to sort out so that I have the zone 1 buttons list, and then I set the zone 1 default as, which will be that PNG. So I need to change this from actually setting it as the actual file. I'm going to change this to zone 1 buttons list, and then I'm going to use the index of zone 1 default that I have in my settings. So if I wish to change these at any point, I only have to just change that number, and then that'll be sorted for the next time it's running. So I've done that one. Next I'm going to change this one, so just to make it a little bit quicker I'm just going to copy all of that and then put them into the zones there and change that to a 3 and change that to a 3. So I'm just going to do the zones on this part, and then I'll show you it working. That wants to be into there, that wants to be a 2, that wants to be a 2, and that wants to be a 4. Right, so I've got my buttons, so I'll just prove that they are working, and they should all be nice and juicy red. Super. Right, so now I want to increase these default values so that it goes through the actual list. So although they are actually all set to here, so when you click the button it's going to shift to use this button picture, and then when it gets to there I want it to go back to the first part. So over here on the define function, I want this zone 1 change. I'm just going to call that as the actual function. So what I need to do here, I need to play around with my global variables. So I am going to need, if I just scroll up slightly, just so you can see where it is. So I'm going to be using my zone 1 image, I'm going to be using zone 1 button, and I want the default. So zone 1 default, I want the zone 1 IMG, and I want the zone 1 BTN. Right, so I've got them in place. Next, when you click the button, I'll just move this down, I want that to actually increase. So zone 1 default plus equals 1. So that will increase every time that button's pressed. So what we need to do now is do a check. So if zone 1 default is equal to the len, so that's the length of the zone 1 buttons list, then we want to set that back to 0. I'll explain in a second what that means. Right, so basically because we're going from that position there, because we're set as a 1, so these are the indexes 0, 1 and 2. When you press the button, because it's currently set as 1, sorry, when you press it, the function increases it by 1, so that changes it to 2. So we want it to go to there, but if it is already on 2 and we press the button, we want it to go back to the start. So we've done our check, so we're not going to get a fault in there. So now what we need to do is zone 1 image is equal to tk.photo, im image, and this is the file, and what we're working with is the zone 1 buttons list, and we're looking at the zone 1 default index. So that's that bit sorted, and now we need to actually implement the actual button. So zone 1 btn dot configure or dot config, and then we want the image to change to the new state of zone 1 IMG, and if I run that, you should see that my button, no, I've forgotten to do something. Because I'm using a global variable for that one, I need to put that into up here for in the main menu, so that I'm able to play around with it basically. So I need to put zone 1 btn, add that into them variables. I'll come back to that. It's getting a bit long, so I'll move that over on the next time I do the other buttons. So if I go into the security menu, we've got all our defaults set for our zone 1, 2, 3, 4. Click the button and nothing is happening. Why is that? Because I haven't set the actual command for the actual button. So what we need to do is, because this line is that long, I'm just going to click on there and press enter to bring it into the next line, and then on the end I'm going to put the command for when you press the button you want to do the zone 1 change, and do not put the parentheses because it will, when you actually run the script and it brings up the security menu, it will automatically run that function as it's actually drawing it out. So don't put the parentheses on there, so you just have it like that. And now if I run it and then go into the security menu and click on the button, it will change to the on state and then to the off, auto, on, off, auto, on. Cool, that's how we want it to work. So that's that one done. How are we for time? Let's just have a quick look. 12 minutes. Yeah, come on, I'll stick them in as well. Right, so we've created the zone 1 change. Very straightforward. I could probably do this in one function, but just for simplicity, I'm just going to put it in as a separate function for now. So I'm going to be using zone 2s for all of these. That one. 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 And that one. I do believe that's all of them. Nope. Right, so that's sorted. So let's just go up to the actual button and do the same again. We'll press enter on there and let's enter our command equals zone 2 change, not Janig. So there's our function now created for that button. Just a quick test. Zone 2, and we didn't do our global variable, did we? No. Zone 2 btn. Now it'll work. Always make sure about them variables. Why is it not doing it now? Should be doing it now. Nope, because that's the wrong one. What a wally. That's zone 3. Unbelievable. Right, so down here, zone 2, let's do the correct one and then it'll work. Equals Z3, nope, this is 2, B change, and mass, we're here, we might as well do this zone 4. Oh my god, what's going on? Zone 4 change. It's all going wrong. Right, as we've put them functions in, yeah, let's just do it. Copy all that, stick them in. Right, because this is going to be no, you can't do it on this, can you? That's zone 3, that's zone 3. Just going to swap all these out. And I've done a mistake in my security layout, and I'm wondering if you've actually noticed my mistake. So I'm going to ask you to leave me a comment in the description if you know what my mistake is, and you have until I do the next video to actually answer that. So what have I done wrong on the layout on my security menu? Almost done. Yep, they're done. Right, because this is getting super long, I'm just going to pull them out and put it onto a new line. Paste that there. What's up with my spelling? Image, zone 2 button, so zone 3 btn, and zone 4 btn. Right, so that's my globals done, so it should work. Right, so let's change the states of these. That's good. That's good. And that's good. Super duper. Right. I don't want the video to drag on too long, so I'm going to call it for that video, and in the next video I will bring into these to do it as well. So thank you for watching this video, and catch you in the next one.